Hello everyone, welcome to today's video on Brent Crude, peak or pause. We've seen a bit of a sell-off today in the oils and Brent and WTI, down around 1.5% on the day itself. And while people are looking for reasons as to why this may be, and there's obviously going to be a lot of focus on the meeting with some oil and some OPEC and non-OPEC producers today in Abu Dhabi. I think where people are reading far too much into it in terms of what it means. We look at today's moves, and yes, we were off 1.5%, but in relation to the days previous, there's not actually really any change. This is a continuation of the consolidation which has been taking place since the end of July, and I think this is the only real question, as far as I'm concerned, is as the title of this suggests, is this a peak or is this a pause? Now, there's no definitive way of knowing right now, but there are signs of what it may be. One of which is, if you look below the current prices, we are seeing higher lows. So that would suggest, at least for now, until proven otherwise, or until the price action suggests otherwise, that there's still plenty of buying interest in Brent. If we look at the tops, we've got a clear top around 52.60. We've hit that on 3 occasions and pulled back. We'll see how we trade if we go back above these levels again, but this looks like we've got a bit of a flat top at the moment. So that would suggest that what we're looking at right now is possibly, no guaranteed because we've only got 2 points of interest so far below, is possibly a rising triangle. Now that would be a bullish signal and would suggest that we're going to see another rally higher into possibly around these 54.50s, which is the next notable level of interest. Should we break below these 51.15s, then the next notable point of interest is around 50.60, at which point this, what currently looks to possibly be a rising triangle, starts to look more like a double top, with again the top at 52.60 and the neckline at 52.60, 50.60. So this thing is always changing. It all depends on how these charts materialize, and should until we get that third touch in terms of the rising triangle, there's no definitive level here. So you may be looking at these lows here to be the possible lower part of that rising triangle, and it will probably look more definitive, I guess, on say this 4-hour chart, which we could draw here, for example, just like that. And you could see that as being perfectly legitimate, but to be honest, I'd like to see one more before I think of this as being in any way conclusive. As far as I'm concerned, we're still in this period of consolidation. It wouldn't surprise me if we came back below the 51.15s, back towards these 50.60s. It wouldn't surprise me if we break above here and head towards 54.40s. We need to wait for further things to develop. The one thing I would say though is don't read too much into the daily commentary that comes out. People talking about Libya and Nigeria. Yes, this has probably been these have been partly responsible for the broader term moves, but I don't think there's anything to read into it on an intraday basis until something actually happens. The other thing I would point out though is one of the things that may be contributing to the longer term moves, this rising trend that we've seen over the past month or so, is the fact that if we look at the oil rig count from the US, it has stabilized since the end of June. So this is potentially a sign that we're starting to see a bit of a peak in terms of oil rigs around this current price. And until we start to pick up considerably, we saw a one rig drop off last week, but really over the course of the last month and a bit, we've not really seen much change in terms of oil rigs. So that could potentially be a development that people are focusing on, because more and more rigs and higher US output has weighed on price. So that may be helping to lift prices currently. The meeting that we're seeing today between these OPEC and non-OPEC members are about ways to looking at ways to improve compliance, because compliance has slipped recently to around 86%. So they're seeking ways to improve compliance. Do I think this is a game changer in the short term? Probably not. They're probably going to come out and talk that they've had very good meeting and have discussed ways to improve compliance. I wouldn't expect much more than that, if I'm perfectly honest, at this moment in time. I don't think it's a big enough concern for them. At which point, like I said, we could see move back towards these 54.50s, or we could see it break lower. What I think is important, if we see it fall short of these 54.50s, that would be a third successive lower high. So that could be a nice little bearish signal for us. But really, in the longer term, we are still quite range bound. And like I say, I just wouldn't read too much into what's being written in the media in terms of the reasons for these moves. 1.5% sounds dramatic, but the reality is, when you look at the chart, you can see that it's not out of character, and I think that's an important thing to consider. For more in-depth news and analysis, check out OANDA Market Pulse at marketpulse.com. You can also find out more about OANDA and sign up for a free demo account at oanda.com. Here you'll also get access to OANDA Forex Labs, which has a lot of great tools designed to help you with your trading.